Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
To be here.
I'm really looking forward to a conversation with you. So I'm just going to go straight in with some great questions, because everything that we're talking about, pain, loss, surrender, I've gone through all of these things as well. So I'm really looking forward to a great conversation with you. So let's get started. What does surrender really mean in a practical, everyday sense, Kute?
Yeah, I think that we have this misconception in our culture today that surrender is weak, that surrender is passive, that surrender is giving up, that surrender is waving the white flag, that surrender is inactivity and doing nothing, sitting around doing nothing, being lazy, being a doormat. That if you surrender, you won't manifest your goals, your dreams, your desires. That if you surrender, you're going to be taken advantage of. If you surrender, you're going to get less in life. And so many times we're not motivated to surrender, and we think it doesn't relate to business and making things happen in the world. We think it's for just the sort of yogis in the mountains, in the Himalayas, or the monks in the monasteries. So who the hell wants to surrender if that's our perception and our paradigm and our definition? I'm actually saying, if you really understand the real meaning, the real essence of surrender, like what if you didn't get less in life or in business or in success? What if you actually got more? Maybe not what you thought, maybe not what you planned, but what if what ended up happening in the as a result of surrendering was better beyond what you could have planned and imagined? And so when I look at the really great ones, and whether it's Jesus or Buddha or Gandhi or Mandela or Mother Teresa, or, hey, these weren't weak people. Bruce Lee or, Muhammad Ali or Martin Luther King, right? I mean, we can even take certain business figures, and Oprah Winfrey, who's made billions of dollars, or Elon Musk, right? Let's take Elon Musk. People might say, what the hell? How do you put Elon Musk into it? He's this, he's that. Whatever you think about him, that's cool. But since we're having a conversation about business too, here's a guy who made $200 million with PayPal. Most of us would just retire, run off into the sunset, protect our wealth, and just sort of live on an island, drinking Mai Tais and pina coladas. But here's a guy, right? And he may not be spiritual. He may not, whether he's a good person or not, that's up for your public opinion. However, here's a guy who made $200 million, felt a calling, felt a guidance, felt an intuition, felt something that said, he had a vision for humanity that he felt, and he put everything that he had, the entire $200 million, into the vision, into the dream. So you could say that is an example of surrender. That is an example. How many of us would do that, right? So surrender isn't just meditating in the Himalayas. Surrender is when you're following your deepest truth, your deepest heart calling. And when I look at the great ones, right, whether it's a Oprah, a Musk, a Jesus, a Buddha, a Mother Teresa, at some point, whether they were conscious or not, whether they defined it that way or not, they all had to surrender themselves. They all had to surrender themselves to that bigger vision, a vision that was bigger than what they could imagine for their own lives. Gandhi was a lawyer, a successful lawyer. You could say he was in business for himself, a successful lawyer going down a certain track and, growing his business, yet he got a calling that there was a bigger vision, a bigger mission to free his country, from the rule of the British. It was a bigger vision than he could have imagined, and he resisted it for a while. But at a certain point, he had to let go and say yes to the vision of his own soul, the vision of his depth, of his own deeper truth. That is surrender. And I think even as business people, there might be, here's the thing. Many times in business, you do something, it works, success. You do something, it works. The marketplace validates it. So you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it. And 5 years go by, and 10 years go by, and 20 years go by. Maybe you're succeeding, but you're no longer growing. You're no longer evolving. You're no longer innovating. You're no longer expanding. Maybe you've just become comfortable doing what you know how to do and staying in the safe zone, but there's a bigger vision, a bigger idea, a bigger product, a bigger direction. Now AI, you can resist it, or you can surrender, accept and surrender and say, I'm gonna dare to reinvent myself, which requires a level of surrender to let go of who you've been, to let go of what you've done, to let go of how you've done things and run things and the way the business was, to say, okay, something new, something new is seeking to happen. What is that? Surrender is the embrace and the acceptance and the willingness to let go of what was so that you can embrace what is. Surrender is the willingness to let go of who you thought you were, how you thought your life should be, how you thought you should be, the way you thought it should look, so that you can be honest with yourself and get clarity and pursue boldly and bravely and courageously the truth of what you really feel. And maybe that is a pivot. Maybe it's realizing, you know what, I need to write a book, but I'm scared of what people are thinking. I've never done it before. Maybe it's, I need to launch this business. I need to go in a new direction with this business, but I'm scared of what will happen because we've only done this. But something deeper is guiding you. Surrender is the willingness to follow your deepest truth. Surrender is the willingness to let go of what is no longer aligned. Surrender is the willingness to let go of control, especially trying to control things that you cannot control. Even in business, many of us, we are control freaks, right? We try to control things that we cannot control. And you have to realize, even as a business person, you cannot control. There's so many things that are out of your control. You can't control the president. You can't control the prime minister. You can't control the weather. You can't necessarily control your suppliers. You can't control your clients. You can't control them. You can maybe influence them, but you can't control your pet cat. You can't control AI. You can't control, gas prices. So part of surrender is realizing, okay, what is in my power to control? And let me focus there. And so that's part of surrender, right? It's to let go of trying to control the things that you cannot control so that you can focus on the things that you can control. That's an aspect of surrender. So what I have found, the last thing I'll say is, the next level of your life, whatever it is for you as a human, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, the next level of your life and the next level of your vision, the next level of what you want to create and manifest requires the next level of you. And the next level of you requires that you let go of what was and who you've been. However, because the new next level is the unknown, it can feel a bit scary. So what we tend to do as human beings is we'll tend to hold on out of fear and safety and familiarity and security to what we know and the way we've been doing things in order to ultimately keep us safe. And that just keeps you in the status quo. So, that quote, if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always gotten. And so to truly thrive and grow and evolve, you must be willing to surrender, as in let go of what is no longer aligned. Let go of what is no longer working. Let go of old, outdated belief systems. Let go. You might have to let go of a team member who, they grew with you to a certain point, but your business has outgrown them and you need to release and let go. And so ultimately, when we hold on to what is no longer working, what is no longer aligned, relationships that are no longer truly aligned, an idea, a way of being, an identity that's no longer aligned. When we hold on to what's no longer working and aligned, we are the one that is actually blocking our blessing, blocking the next level of your growth, the next level of your evolution, the next level of your business. And so when we're holding on to what no longer works, we're blocking our blessing, we're blocking the next level, because there's no space for new opportunities, new people, new blessings, new ideas to flow in. It's like having a closet full of, junk and clothes, and there's no room to put anything new. And so letting go can feel a bit scary, but letting go is you're clearing the space of what's no longer working so that you can be receptive to the new. Here's a simple business example. My email system, this is for business people, you might share this pain. Our email system had a ton of people in it, but a lot of those people were not active, right? In the CRM system. A lot of those people were no longer active. A lot of those people were no longer opening our emails. What I didn't realize is it was impacting our deliverability of the emails. Our email deliverability went down like a crazy amount. I mean, maybe you've had this experience. And I was attached to, no, but like, it's great having those extra 10,000 people in our email system. But the challenge is those people hadn't opened our emails in like, was it 300 days? Killing our deliverability. So I had to surrender and say, you know what? I got to delete those people from the system so that the deliverability would go up. That's a form of surrender. Surrender is the willingness to accept what is, accept what isn't, and let go. Let go. Yeah.
Great wise words there, Kute. I think listening to what's in your heart and trusting that higher power, that if something's placed in your heart, it is for you. And another thing that stood out to me as well is some things that can seem not to be working for you sometimes can be working in your favor if you do let them go and surrender to what is happening as well. So I really connect with that, and it is quite painful letting go of old versions of yourself. And it can be quite a painful process. I've done it quite a few times, changing self-concepts, growing, and having to take on new belief systems whilst facing fears. So I totally get the journey, and I think surrender is so important. There comes a point where you do have to let go and realise that things are going to work out without having to be fully in control of it as well. And I think that's a great point that you're making there as well. Yes. Why do so many people struggle to live their true purpose, Kute?
Why do so many people struggle to live their true purpose? I would say in many ways, we may not be in touch fully with our authentic nature. And when we're not in touch with the truth of who we are, then often what you think your purpose is not really the authentic expression of what it really is. And so based on that illusion or that misperception of who you think you are, now you're pursuing a life, goals, dreams, desires, a purpose that is not an authentic expression of who you are. And so someone becomes a doctor only to realize, sure, they have a job, they're making a living, they're successful by the world standards, but wait a second, I'm not living my true purpose. This is not what I was here to do. I wasn't born to just be an accountant. I wasn't born to just go to work and sell cars. I wasn't born just to be a real estate agent, although that's great. There's something more. But, I'm doing this because I thought this is what the world expected of me. I became a doctor because I thought it would get me status and I could prove to mom and dad that I'm enough. I've just been chasing money. Nothing wrong with money, but I've been chasing money, thinking money was going to make me happy. But it doesn't bring me true meaning, right? And so it starts because we may not be in touch with who we truly are, our authentic nature. And that authentic nature often gets lost or gets clouded or gets covered up based on our conditioning. So as a child, we were born free, right? You look at a child is free. A child is in touch with a sense of aliveness, right? A child is in touch with their joy. We were all that radiant, beautiful expression at one time. And so what happened? We met our parents. God bless our parents. They did the best that they knew how to do based on their childhood and their upbringing and their life. But maybe dad was crazy. Maybe mom's an alcoholic. Maybe they were abusive, fighting all the time. Maybe they were good people, but they just weren't even around. So all of us were born into some level of, shall we say, trauma, patterns of dysfunction, some generational patterns that have been passed down to us. And so two things happen in terms of how we get conditioned and how we start losing touch with our authentic nature. Number one is now we're in a situation where, mom and dad are fighting, and that's painful. So the first thing is we learn all sorts of, shall we say, strategies to shut down, disconnect, not feel. We suppress the pain. We suppress because feeling the out of control, feeling the fighting, feeling the loss, feeling the helplessness of no one is around for me, that feels too painful. So we shut down, this disconnect, and not feel, because now we learn how to function, cope, and survive. And then layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of unfelt emotion begin to cover up our true authentic nature. We start developing an armor, a heart armor around our authentic nature. So now we can't even feel what's true. We can't even feel who am I. We don't even know who we are, because who we authentically are is now buried under a decade or two of pain, of sadness, of helplessness, of grief that we've conditioned ourselves to not feel. So now you become an adult and you're like, well, what's my purpose? How do I know what my purpose is if I don't even know who I am? Because who I am is buried underneath a mountain of pain. So we erect walls around our heart to function and survive and just make it. And the challenge is what helps those mechanisms that helped us survive in childhood. There comes a point where they eventually start to limit us, because now we're 25 and 35 and 45 and we can't feel our truth. We can't feel what's real. We can't feel what our true purpose and passion is, because we've been living inside of a prison of conditioning. Then as children, we learn a strategy of who do I need to be in order to get love, validation, and be accepted by my parents? Oh, when I'm a good boy, then daddy loves me. When I get all A's, mommy loves me. When I get C's, oh, I'm not loved. Oh, love is conditional. So we start to develop a role, a mask, a persona. We end up contorting ourselves to become who we think we need to be in order to get love, validation, and approval, to avoid pain, love, validation, approval. And now we end up living inside of a prison of a persona, and now we become Kute, and we become Mark, the shy guy, the funny person, the independent one. I don't need anyone because no one was there for me, so it didn't feel good, and I don't want to be disappointed again, so I'm just going to be independent. And that helped you succeed. It helped you become an entrepreneur. It helped you make millions of dollars. But now it's very lonely, and you can't let love in, and you can't receive love. And maybe you're not in a relationship, and it's like, well, what's going on? Because it's scary to surrender and let go of those strategies and defense mechanisms that you've developed. So we end up becoming a version of ourselves that we just think, oh, this is who I am. I'm just this way, not realizing that who we've become is not who you really are. It's just your conditioned patterns, function, survive, get love, validation, and approval. We are conditioned. And the degree to which you're conditioned and living inside of that conditioning is the degree to which you are not free. And when you're living inside of that conditioning, because that conditioning is really your ego. And when you're living inside of your ego, the ego's job is to protect you from getting hurt, to make sure you never get hurt again, like you got hurt when mom left. Never going to be left again, never going to feel that pain again. So I'm going to be a good boy, be a certain way. So the ego job is to protect you, to make sure you don't get hurt again, and to ensure its existence. So now you're locked into this way of being. So now inside of that, your power, your creativity, your love, your boldness, your vision is locked inside. And so now you might have a dream. I want to launch this business. I want to create this thing. My purpose is calling me to move to Sri Lanka. My purpose is calling me to write that book. But now you're locked inside of the prison of your persona, and condition is like, oh, shoot, well, if I launch that, I might get ridiculed and I might not be accepted because I wasn't back then. And so now you're stuck. And so it's hard to truly, freely follow and live your purpose when you're stuck inside of a prison of your conditioning. And most of us, we're not aware that we are stuck inside of the prison of our conditioning. And so what do? We read a motivational book. We try to change my mindset. We do some affirmations. But that's just working at the surface level. It's not really getting in touch with the real core of your conditioning. And so many times, this is why I hear entrepreneurs and people say, I feel so much inside. I feel so much potential. Yes, but that potential is trapped and locked inside of the prison of your persona, and it can't quite get out. That voice of what you really want to say, it can't get out because you're locked in fear. And that's really your conditioning, is really the deeper reason why we don't pursue or live and fulfill our purpose. Sadly, Mark, most people will not fulfill their potential in this lifetime. Let me repeat that. All the self-help books, all the self-help seminars, all the motivational, transformational, most people will not fulfill their true potential in this lifetime because they're locked inside of their conditioning. So you can't just motivate yourself out of it. You can't just think yourself out of it. You can't just affirm yourself out of it, You can't just, let me just do law of attraction. You have to get to the core of your conditioning, but you have to become aware, realize your condition. You have to start becoming aware of where did my conditioning come from? And you have to be willing to go in there and feel some of those things that you learned to suppress that has kept you stuck so that you can release and free yourself. And that's when you start to peel away some of the layers so that you can start connecting more deeply with the power that is inside you, the power that's always been there, the power that you were born with. And when you start reconnecting with that again, then you start reconnecting with that part of you that is free. And then you can start reconnecting with, this is my truth. This is, I've been pursuing being a doctor because it was going to give me status, and then prove to my dad that I'm lovable. And when you start releasing some of those wounds and the pain and all of that unconscious stuff that you've been carrying, you start reconnecting with your truth, then you can start realizing, you know what? This is why I'm really here. I'm actually here to make a difference. I'm actually here to fill in the blank. And then you can follow the calling of your soul and your true purpose, not out of fear, but out of truth. That's the thing, Yeah. The thing the last thing I'll say is, many times the way we are manifesting life, pursuing goals and purposes, we ask ourselves, well, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? It's cool. You might, and I call that the ego-based model for creating and manifesting life. You might manifest what you thought you wanted, but if you're not in touch with who you really are, as I've been talking about, then what you think you want is not necessarily going to be what you really want. It's just going to be what you think you want based on who you think you are. And many times what you think you want is going to be a reaction to unmet needs and pain from childhood. So then you manifest that thing, only to realize, wait a second, this is not making me truly happy. This is not what I really want. So the old paradigm question is, what do I want? The question when we talk about surrender is different. It's asking a bigger question. What is it that my soul wants to express? What is it that life wants to express through me? What is it that God wants to express through me? What is the deepest truth of what I am here to create and express, and to feel that from a deeper place, not from the level of your mind, because often from the level of your mind and your logic will be run by the level of your conditioning, which will be limited. And so when you can feel and expand and really tune into the deeper question, what is life seeking to express through me? What is that purpose that is seeking to manifest through me that is true? Then you can make yourself available to feeling what is true, and then you can align with that and pursue that direction.
You mentioned some really great points there, Kute. I went through I went through a loss, which we can talk about shortly in the next question, and my mind put loss to tragedy, and I started getting really bad hallucinations and intrusive thoughts, and I
Wow.
started to believe the thoughts. The fear grew inside me. So
Wow.
obviously, what you focus on expands and grows. So I
Yes.
went through on this really long journey. I worked with neuroscientists, personal development, hypnosis. I had every kind of therapy that you could think of. In the end, I realised God took me on a journey to let go of all of this old conditioning, and it
Yes.
takes awareness, and everything I'd ever suppressed all come up to the surface. So I was having all these conditioning, and you have to be super aware. And like you say, you have to feel it in the body,
Yeah.
release it. And so sometimes some of these things that you feel like are really hard to go through, it's on a journey to bring you into that next level of yourself. But what stood out to me is you do have to become aware of that conditioning,
Yes.
and to be aware of it, not suppress it, and to feel it, to let go of all of that old programming. So that's just what I wanted to share. The next question I was going to ask: how can someone begin to trust life again after going through pain or loss?
Yeah, look, it's hard. It's hard. You know, being a human being is challenging. Being a human being is not for the faint of heart. Many times, so if you're going through loss, I don't take it lightly. I've lost a lot in my life over the years when it comes to people I've loved, especially dreams that didn't happen, you know, things that I thought I wanted that didn't happen, people from my life. And so if you're going through it, first I would just say, I feel you. You know, it's not an easy thing. So be compassionate and gentle and graceful with yourself. What I would say to you, if you're going through that moment, is you will come through it. When you're in it, it sometimes seems like you won't come through this. It's bigger than you. It's going to break you. You'll never make it through. But what I promise you from my own experience is you will make it through. You may not know how, and you don't have to know the how, but I would just say put one step in front of the next. Just put one step in front of the next, one breath at a time. What I will say is you would not have gone through some of these things if you weren't ready, if you weren't ready for the next level, if you weren't ready to break through, if you weren't ready to evolve. Challenge, loss is hard. Challenge, loss is difficult. And many times it doesn't make sense in the moment that you're going through it. So whilst you're going through it, it often will not make sense. I don't understand this heartbreak. I don't understand this divorce. I don't understand this disease. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand. And so whilst you're going through it, it often will not make sense. Life will tend to make sense in retrospect once you've come through it and you end up looking back. And as you look back, you're like, oh, I see why I need to go through that heartbreak. I see why she needed to leave me and shatter my heart into pieces. I see why, I look at my life. I see why I had to go through a heartbreak and feel helpless and shattered, because that actually broke me open to a level of openness and receptiveness and humility to be able and open to receive my wife into my life, as an example, because I didn't realize I was actually not open. I thought it was going to look like this, and life had to just break my vision and just make me available to say, okay, whatever, I'm open. I've tried it my way. I've done it my way, but it hasn't happened. And so I think that loss, pain is not a punishment, although sometimes in those moments it can seem that way.
I agree.
Loss, pain is not God deserting you, punishing you. Many times, these are gifts that have been sent to you by the universe because you're ready. But they're gifts, pain, loss, difficulty. It are gifts that have been sent to you by the universe. They just come wrapped in a gift wrapping of this challenging difficulty. And what we have to be willing to do is unwrap them so we can get to the gift. Because these experiences are sent to us for us to grow, for us to evolve, for us to question, for us to expand, for us to let go, so that we can learn lessons, so that we can become more of our authentic self. And many times, suffering, pain is an evolutionary catalyst for us to become more. And often if we were not faced with certain challenging situations at dis-ease and illness, if we're honest, many of us, we would just stay the same and just keep doing what we're doing. And so you can look at this pain or this difficult situation as, a victim of like, why is this happening to me? Or you can step back and go, okay, why is this happening to me? Right? What am I seeking to learn? What is my soul seeking to learn? And so when you can realize that first and foremost, you are a soul. And as a soul, you incarnate into this human experience to learn, to grow and evolve. And that life is like a university for your soul's evolution. Life is a school. And the only thing that is going on is your evolution. And your evolution happens, it's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym to sit down and go to sleep. You go to the gym to kind of get your ass kicked by your trainer. You go to the gym to feel the pain of that pump for a moment, but you know that because you have an understanding of the purpose of the gymnasium, when you feel the pain in your muscles, you don't go, oh, something's wrong, my God. You're like, oh, this pain is a good pain. This pain is a growing pain. This pain is developing my muscle, developing my body, strengthening my body, because you understand the nature of the gymnasium and the purpose of the gymnasium. So when you understand the purpose of life, a school, a university for your soul's growth and evolution, every single person is your teacher, so to speak. You understand that the real purpose of life is not just chilling out, going on vacations and, eating ice cream and, winning the lottery every weekend. The real purpose for us to incarnate into this human dimension is growth and evolution. It is a school. It is a dojo for your evolution. And so the pain and the challenges are part of the curriculum that is sent to you, the dumbbells that's sent to you to force you to grow and evolve. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to unwrap to get to the core of the lesson. So when you're in the midst of a challenge, so part of the surrender is, rather than what we tend to do when we face difficult situations, is we resist it. How we resist it is, the experience that I'm having is not the experience that I should be having. In other words, this shouldn't be happening to me. Something else should be happening to me. I should have another experience. So whenever you resist what is happening, the experience I'm having is not the experience I should be having, you experience immediate suffering. Pain, you can't avoid pain in this lifetime. Suffering is optional, and suffering arises when you are in resistance to what is happening, and suffering arises based on the meaning and the interpretation that you're giving the event. So that's what creates suffering. So you might have to face pain, which is really an evolutionary lesson and gift, but you don't have to suffer through the pain, which is determined by what you make that experience mean. So we're here to grow. And I would say you wouldn't be going through the challenges and the difficulty and the trials and tribulations if you were not ready for your next level. Before any breakthrough to the next level of your life will test you. And you will have to face certain tests to sort of integrate everything you've learned in that phase of your life. You will have to face certain tests to choose who you're going to be. You will have to face certain tests to really own your own power and knowing and integrate what you know and what you've learned. And that integration and the facing of that challenge and test is part of the invitation to graduate to that next level. So I would say your tests, your pain, your difficulty are the tests that are sent to you to help you grow and develop the muscle, the soul force to prepare you for your true purpose.
I agree. And I think we don't have to suffer. And it's about accepting what arises and not resisting it. So I think those are great words as well, Coot. Now, I want to go on to a bit more of a business approach. In a business world obsessed with hustle and constant doing, why is surrendering to your authentic truth actually the most powerful strategy for scaling a brand or a business in 2026?
Yeah, I think we've addressed that already, in certain ways, but it just in a nutshell, I would say when you surrender, you might feel a vision, in terms of scaling a brand, you're like, well, I want to scale a brand, but I'm afraid to scale. I'm afraid to invest the money. I'm afraid of what that might mean. I'm afraid of more responsibility. But if you're feeling like, is this authentic? Is this true? Am I aligned? Am I feeling, yes, I'm feeling something. Then part of the surrender is to let go and say yes, is to follow the true desire to scale. And to scale, here's the thing. A lot of times in business, entrepreneurs don't realize that the reason they're not growing and the reason they're not scaling is that they are addicted to control. I want to grow my business. I want to grow it. I want to grow it. But it's not growing. Why? Because there's a part of you that is throttling and energetically controlling it, because you don't realize that by keeping it small, you think you have a sense of control. And so we limit how much our business can scale by trying to control all the elements. And much of this is subconscious, right? Because to grow with team members and employees and revenue and advertise, like now you're not going to be in control of a lot of things. A lot of things you're going to have to let go of control and delegate, trust your team to do things, trust, hire new people, trust your advertising. You're not going to be able to control all the reviews because now you're no longer working with 5 people and you might have to, have 6,000 customers. And so there's so much you have to let go of and allow and delegate and hire people and trust that they're going to do their part. Trust that I'm not in control of that, And so you have to make peace with, I'm going to do my best and my best is enough. And I'm going to let go of the rest with the right team and the right people.
Perfect. Beautiful. As we stand in the peak light of summer solstice, what is the one truth you believe every leader needs to awaken to right now to ensure their success continues to a more conscious and transformed world?
Look, there's a lot I could say. There's a lot I've said. But what I would say to the leaders is you cannot lead other people until you lead yourself. And you can only lead other people to the degree that you're leading yourself. And so how do you invite your team and those around you to do something if you're not willing to do it? How do you have the internal authority to inspire someone to take a leap if you're not willing to take a jump out of the plane? How do you tell people take the jump out of the plane? So leadership is not just what you say, it's who you're being. Leadership is not what you just tell people, it's how you live your life. How you live your life is the real leadership. And by living your life, by healing yourself, by transforming yourself, by leading by example, not just words and what you say, those around you will watch you and they will be inspired to up-level themselves and their lives and follow your example, be inspired by your example, and just by how you're living. So leadership is not what you say, it's who you're being and how you're living your life. And so I think as leaders, we have a profound responsibility, to evolve and to grow and to heal and to transform. And we have to make sure that we are walking the talk, not just talking the talk.
Yes. Who you are being, that's so important in this world. Everything comes down to identity, who you're being, how you're showing up. And like you say, walking the walk and not just talking the talk. You make so much sense, Q. We live in a world of curated images and social media filters. How does a modern leader or author build a soul-led brand rooted in radical authenticity. And why is this the ultimate competitive advantage right now?
I think you just have to be yourself and be your authentic self. But it's hard to be yourself if you're not in touch with who you are. All the things I've shared already. So I don't want to repeat that. But I think there's only one version of you. There's 8 billion people, and most of us were looking around being someone that we're not. We're living inside of a conditioning being someone that we're not, and that can be felt. People can feel when, oh, this person is not being real or authentic. People can feel when you're just trying to be a copycat of someone else. And so when you're being your authentic self, people can feel that, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not curated, even if it's not polished. And when you're being your authentic self, that's an energy, that's a vibration that people can feel. It transmits, and that's what people trust. It's the unspoken, energetic communication beyond words that people will feel your congruence without words, and they will trust that. And when that translates across the screen, when that translates across social media, people will start to make a connection with you. It's like, oh, I trust this person. And in order for people to do, shall we say, business with you or hire you, they have to know you and they have to trust you. And if they don't trust you, they might like you, they might find you funny, but they probably won't follow you, or they probably won't hire you or use your services. And so there's only one version of you. You know, there's one Donald Trump, there's one Oprah, there's one Elon Musk, there's one Mark Pula, there's one Kute Blackson. And if you're trying to be another knockoff version of them, but if you're just being the most authentic version of yourself, it takes courage to be yourself. And I think that is the real work that we are put on the planet to be and do, is to learn how to be the most authentic, unique expression of ourselves. And there's only one version of you. So if you're being the authentic version of you, you have no competition.
Always be yourself, everyone else is taken. That's what I say, Kute. Now, Kute, I thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. You've shared so much wisdom already. Now, firstly, I want you to just share a little bit about who you would love to reach out and connect with you. I know you have this great freebie as well. Share a little bit about that, Kute.
Yeah, about a year ago, I created an online course. It's 8 videos, really powerful. We've had thousands and thousands of people go through this incredible course. 8 videos, 8 modules, and I decided to gift it to the world for free. It's called The 8 Levels of Gratitude, the 8 levels of gratitude.com. People can go to the8levelsofgratitude.com. That's THE, the8levelsofgratitude.com. Enter your name and your email, and you get the course for free. It's going to teach you a technology, especially during these challenging times. It's going to teach you a step-by-step technology that will help you access gratitude on a whole deeper level. And I think gratitude is the frequency of God. Gratitude is the frequency of joy. And when you can start feeling gratitude, you shift your energy into a frequency and energy of abundance. And when you're living in abundance as a business person, it's life-changing. You're not coming from scarcity. So you can get the free gift there. I also work specifically with leaders and transformational change agents. Over the last 15 years, I've facilitated a truly life-changing event to Bali. It's called Boundless Bliss. The next event is June the 26th through July the 7th. You can find out more at www.boundlessblissbali.com. That's boundlessblissbali.com. And I would just say, if you're a leader and you feel as though you've been put on the planet for a purpose that's bigger than yourself, and you feel a calling to make an impact in society, you're tired of just reading the books and getting more information, but you're really ready for a breakthrough. You're ready to heal and transform so you can expand yourself to the highest potential and fulfill your soul's destiny. The last 15 years, I've done 24 journeys to Bali, and we've had billionaires, heads of state, celebrities, entrepreneurs, some of the most influential people in the world attend this life-changing event. And it is designed to specifically help you identify your hidden blocks, heal the wounds and the traumas and the pain from childhood, connect you with your true power, and help you reclaim your voice so that you can share your gifts with the world. And it's really a profound process. 12 days with me in Bali. There is nothing like it in the world. www.boundlessblissbali.com.
If that sounds like it's for you, for this amazing event, go to boundlessblissbali.com. Also, Kute, I'm definitely going to get this gratitude course, because gratitude's so important. And like you say, it brings you onto that vibration. So I'm definitely going to be getting it. I'd encourage all our listeners, all our viewers, go to 8levelsofgratitude.com. Kute, thank you so much for coming on Brilliance Business TV today. We'll have to have you back again whenever you want to come, because I could talk all day about conversations like this, because I think it's so important people learn about healing, about conditioning, about pain, loss, surrender, manifestation, creating our purpose. So I thoroughly enjoyed having you as my guest today.
It's a pleasure.
The pleasure's been all ours. Thank you everyone for joining us for Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.